Om. 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 Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Sairam, with Swami's grace, we are into our 42nd Satsangh of Sai Bhagavatam that's coming through his students every week. And today we have, moving from the first generation of students, we are going towards, I say, we have gone a bit into 80s, we moved a little bit into 2000, and we are back to the 90s. So Vivek, please do the honors of introducing Brother Rakesh to all of us.
Offering my loving and reverential salutations at our loving Lord's lotus feet. Sairam to one and all of this wonderful Sai family who have tuned in to be a part of this satsang, which Hari Anna and Brother Venkat have lovingly coined as the Govind series. We have been blessed to listen to innumerable speakers, mostly alumni, in the last 8 months or so, and listening to his glory. And we started off with alumni who are part of the very early years of Swami's Institute. And the river flowed, as Brother Venkat said, from the early 70s to the 80s, a little bit into the 90s, and sometime into the 2000s. So this week, we are making a detour, and the journey is to look into the mid-90s batch of students from Brindavan. So, when you get to introduce speakers, you are generally in awe of, that particular day's speaker. But today I have the added pleasure in introducing a fellow batchmate of mine, Brother Rakesh Menon, and to also be a part of reliving his journey as well as my journey in that period. So Rakesh Menon is an alumnus who joined the Brindavan Campus in 1994 for his bachelor's in commerce. And after that, he pursued his MBA from the Bharathiar University in Coimbatore. And he was blessed with the care and guidance of Swami, which I would say continues till date. So I don't want to go much into his professional career, which has been a wonderful career. But what I've always liked about Rakesh is in the fact that, in today's times, we are always occupied in society, in our day-to-day mundane activities. But, as Swami has always advised, it's, you need to have your hands in society and head in the forest. And probably Rakesh has taken it in the literal sense. And, he actually gave up a wonderful professional career in order to take a step back and continue to work in society in what he does in his professional life, and also chose to move back to Puttaparthi, and some of the social activities that he has taken up in Parthi, or he continues to take up in Parthi, are amazing activities. I hope he could spend some time talking about that in this satsang. And so that is probably the kind of synopsis of the introduction that I would give of Rakesh. And I will pass it on to him to take it from here.
Sairam, brothers, and Vivek, thanks for the introduction. First of all, my humble salutations at the Divine Lotus feet. Let what I speak today be what he has to say. And since the mood is a bit of humor, I hope some of the interesting incidents which Vivek and myself we shared, because the bond goes 26 years, right, Vivek? We have been together for quite a long time. So and it's pretty interesting on a daily basis even today. So that's the beauty of the journey with Sai. It's always fresh. So the journey, I think always, in most of whatever discussions we have had, it always starts with how we came to Swami. So that's one question which people always ask, and it's quite interesting because I don't come from a family of devotees, and even today I'm the probably the only devotee in my whole family. So who's kind of here. And I had an uncle, who was quite a strong devotee of Swami, and who kind of took care of me in my growing up days to ensure that I had a life of values. On hindsight, when you look back, you kind of understand how that was Swami kind of taking you through and kind of ensuring that his presence was there in my life, probably as early as I think 8 years old is what I kind of remember seeing Swami's a beautiful photo, one of the younger photos in one of the devotees' houses. I think some incidents where my mother's death happened when I was kind of 8 years old had an impact on me. And somewhere the soul searching happened quite early. I found myself in the portals of Brindavan in 1994, after having appeared for an entrance with interestingly no idea of who Swami was, and what did the missions, what was Swami's mission, or apart from the only fact that it was the Sathya Sai institution provides one of the world's best value-based education, and I thought that was the need for the hour, and probably that's what got me to Brindavan. But the entire idea when we stepped inside the gates of Brindavan in one of the summers, as I remember, the day I landed up with the luggage was a huge experience by itself. Swami wasn't there. Swami, the darshan hasn't happened, so I never had my first darshan, but it was the only place where your seniors actually took care of you. They picked up your bags, and I was expecting a ragging session, unlike other colleges where you are welcomed differently. But here was a total welcome with unconditional love. So which was probably the first time I kind of realized there's something special about Brindavan and the place by itself, because the vibrations is something which we even somebody who's a non devotee also kind of can sense. And the first darshan of Swami with the beautiful music, and in Sai Ramesh Hall, and if taking you all back in time when we all would have kind of sat there either in the morning or in the evening and experienced the beauty of Swami's darshan as Swami actually comes through. That was a beautiful experience, which I can never ever forget to this date. I think that that is when you start kind of falling in love with the form of Swami, and how he glides through, and by the end of the whole, it's you kind of you experience that kind of inner peace which you don't really get anywhere else in the world, and that's something I think we can all relate to. So we were a bunch of I would say mischievous 17-year-olds. 17 is an age where you are a bundle of mischief, right? And rules didn't quite agree with me, because I was probably known as a rebel from a childhood age, questioning thing. And somewhere deep inside, there was this urge to stay away from Bhagavan Sat Sai Baba completely and just focus on your studies, and just kind of focus on your studies. And interestingly, the kind of friends like Vivek, we all had such an amazing group of friends. We are all still together. I found myself in the Mallu gang. So the Mallu gang, all the notorious guys, even today we are connected. So Prashant was one of our classmates. We used to call him in a Malu way of Patti. That was his nickname, because all Prashants in Brindavan were called Pattis. I came to know later. Then we had Manikantan. Then there's a guy called Rajiv. So there's three of us. Everybody had their own quirks. Four of us agreed that we did not like the fact that the hostel gates has to be closed and we had to stay inside. I had a weakness for food even then and even today. So we found ourselves outside the hostel, outside the gates of the hostel, not really aware of what the warden meant in those days, actually. So it's very interesting. So Prashant had a bad habit. That he used to smoke, and he used to have a smoke there outside. I used to grab a sandwich. I think Prashant and Manikandan just enjoyed the outdoor air a bit, and then we used to sneak back into the hostel. And in around 2-3 days, we found that the warden was pretty serious about what he meant. That he really meant that if we were to really step out, that means we can get expelled from the place. So I took a step back and I was advising Prashant. I still remember the day. I told him, brother, I think you please, I think, we all got free education. So at least we should respect the fact that we have got free education. And therefore, I suggest that, if you're going to be caught smoking, then I think you're going to be thrown out. If you're thrown out, I think we're also going to be thrown out with you. So that's not something which we want. So we just told that I think you should not do it. Just ensure to stick to the rules of the place and respect the place. So while this was happening before evening darshan, and it's very interesting because then we four were standing in one corner, and Prashant just looked at the Sai Ramesh hall with 5,000 people sitting there waiting for darshan, and he was saying, let Satsai Baba say, then I will stop. So, and he had that smile, mischievous smile on his face, and how can he kind of say, because there are like already 5 to 10,000 people waiting for darshan, and how could he ever come and say? So we thought logically that's pretty impossible. So that's where the entire journey kind of starts, as a bunch of musketeers, how to understand what is all this about. And it was like a bit of an adventure, if I may say. So what happens is, as you probably know, the students used to get an arati chance, and Swami used to lovingly call all of us inside Trai Brindavan after, after the evening bhajans, and we all used to, the door on the right side behind the Krishna statue used to open, and then we used to just all run for a spot inside Trai. So, and when that happens, we had an agenda that we will stay somewhere far behind, as far as away from the Jula as possible. So we were quite successful to find a place in the center hall all the time, because Trai had a beautiful center hall. Today there is we have a Trai Linga there, and the puja happens in the morning. So so those memories are very, very vivid. And our brother actually got a chance to do the arati. So while the matchbox was actually being offered to Swami, Swami lit it, and I told him in Tamil, "Unakku idu thevai, like you'll need it," and he put it in his pocket, specifically the matchbox in his pocket, and then he told, "Ni cholle illaya, if I tell you, if I tell you, you'll stop smoking panna kudadu. Don't smoke." And then the first thing I saw is the hardcore Prashant, his jaw drops. I rarely saw his the cuckoo flying out of his head, and I actually still remember that scene where he's like looking at Swami, and I'm seeing that, and I understand realization drawing on my face, and Prashant's face and Manikantan's face. We are all having the similar expressions that, man, there is something happening in here, and we have to discuss. We have to have a debrief session after this, So we all got together, and the next question was, who went and told the warden, and warden would have told probably Swami, and that's how he came to know. But then we realized that we never had actually spoken to anybody, and it was just the four of us, who were there at that point in time. And then I could actually see the transformation happening in Prashant straight away, because when the blood goes from your face, when you're caught, and there's this invisible camera observing all your actions, when you realize that camera is actually the omnipresent and omnipotent Lord. And that was a start of the journey. So we kind of concluded with a limited intellect 17-year-old brains that Sai Baba must be having some siddhis. So he found out that through his powers that this conversation happened, and that's how this happened. So then the next step for us was to stay away from him. So how can we stay away from Swami? Right, because Swami has brought you to Brindavan in the first place, right, to his feet. And who are we? We are all tied, right? We are all tied to the tree, right? And how far away can you go? You can actually go to the extent of the rope, right? That's all you can go, and we feel we are free. So the beauty was that, so the next few sessions, wherever we sit, Swami used to come there and go talk to him. And we try to sit in the back, Swami would be there. If you are in the morning darshan somewhere, Swami would come to that block. And there's no escape, so the Mallu gang was kind of a bit completely disturbed, with the way things were proceeding not as per plan. So slowly, I think the effect of the bhajans, or the effect of the overall environment in Parthi, in Brindavan, actually, it kinds of has a transformational impact on you, right? When you go through that morning, your Suprabhadam, to the discipline and the rigor of the system, and suddenly you kind of start seeing Swami in a different perspective. Your awareness classes, started kind of throwing some light on how Swami's early life was. Your teachers were full of love and affection and always available. Unlike your commercial teachers, they continue to be true gurus for us. Even today, we just had a light-hearted conversation about our teachers. So teachers still continue to be very, very dear for us. So I think that impact. So the thick crust, or the thick shell, started to crack. I think personally for me, that's where it started to crack. So I think on the 8th or 9th day, so I got this letter from my home. And then it was my sister, actually, was a tyrant at home, because my mother was not there. So my sister took hold of that responsibility. I think she took it too literally and too seriously. So I had to be, the only thing she just wrote was that, we were very strict with you because we wanted you to do well. That was the whole thing. And I was kind of feeling homesick, because that phase, I'm sure we all went through, Vivek. And then, we all who are studied there, Brindavan is a very tough place. It's a place where I think it makes a man out of you. I think it's like your National Defense Academy or something like that. It just prepares you for life. So it just makes you really, really strong inside, and you can take anything if you've been been to Brindavan. So the discipline, and I think that evening, I still remember, on the 9th day. So I got this letter in my pocket. My shoulders were a bit drooped, and then suddenly the most soulful bhajan starts playing. The bhajans has been haunting anyways. Somewhere the bhajans have started finding some meaning in you. Some things have started churning inside, and somewhere, all those memories and everything surfaces. And then I just broke down. My head drooped, and I just shed a couple of tears. Then I got nudged by somebody sitting on my left, and then when I looked up, I saw Swami staring. And when Swami was staring, he was not staring, he was looking with so much of love and compassion and concern. And this was the last thing somebody wanted. Their entire plan was to kind of stay out of Swami's gaze, and then be out somewhere behind and just focus on your studies. Be Go under the radar, go stealth, and just clear your exams or whatever. But here I felt that I'm caught now. I'm really caught. So when Swami looks at you, the first thing you get is you get anxious, because you don't know what is going to be the repercussion, because here is the entire Sai Ramesh hall filled with 10,000 devotees, and here is beautiful bhajans happening. And Swami is kind of who was lost in the way he's lost in the bliss of the bhajans, kind of just looking at you and just when the after the bhajans and the arati, we went back inside. I think that evening is something which still, till today, the most
Just bear with us for a second. I'm not too sure where the signal is lost. Just give us a second. Yeah, Rakesh, you're back. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
yeah.
okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
Right. Sorry, I just got lost. So, Swami is standing there with his hands folded behind his thing and welcome his loving his children, every one of them, looking at them, the teachers, the elderly guests, who are there, making sure they're all fine. But this time around, his eyes were kind of searching for someone, and that someone, that gaze kind of fell on me, and I was asked to come front. And that was something as mortified or terrified. I don't know. I thought Prashant's chance was first. Now it's mine. So that is a kind of view you get, because the view you have of Sathya Sai Swami, as we later we knew something was. So the first phase was, Swami, we don't know who you are. The second phase, Swami, we know you got some powers, we don't know exactly how to define them, to the third phase, which is about to start in my life, in that, like, 30 maybe a 2 minutes. In that 2 minutes, Swami just kind of called me and started telling my story to everybody around. I would say around, I think we were around 1,000 people sitting in Try, and I was wondering how Swami knows my story. How can Swami know what happened in my childhood? How can Swami know that I lost my mother when I was quite young? How can Swami know the pain of growing up, yearning for a mother? And then Swami just hugged me, very very tightly to him, and told, "What is one mother's love? I'll give you 1,000 mothers' love." And then that point, that was a point, brother, brothers and sisters, and I think I broke down, and then whatever little bit of resistance inside me, that melted away, because Swami's love was so pure and so overwhelming, that it just kind of as Ani sir once told, it kind of possessed me. That was a word. It kind of completely overwhelmed me, and at that moment I broke down in his arms and I cried like a small child. All the pain, all the anguish, everything came out, and in a matter of minutes, that pain and anguish changed into bliss. So that was his that was his the power of Swami's love. The way he kind of transformed a person, the way he won over somebody who was kind of really wanted to stay out, but we had no chance, right? So when and at that moment I was asked to kind of take a namaskar, and when I was taking namaskar, I got up. A beautiful green diamond ring was there in Swami's hands. I was not understanding what is actually happening here, have no clue. And then this ring actually still is what I wear now. The only jewelry which is there on me is this one ring since 26 years. It's a mark of my mother. And then from then, I think till today, Swami gave an assurance that he will take care. And when I've heard a lot of assurances in life from people, but when Swami gives an assurance, that's an assurance which I realize that it runs for generations. It's not even one generation. So from there, when life went on and went all around the world, and what all you dreamt of in terms of a career happened to you, and like a small child wishing for things and things happening to you, but then you realize that in those things doesn't make any sense, as much as the creator himself who's sitting there and giving you so much of love and affection. And so here I am, my second generation in Parthi, been here since 4 years now. Children who are working, who are kind of studying in the UK, now in the primary school and in the secondary school. I really don't know what really happened, but I've just surrendered. So that's been the experience. And when I kind of get this beautiful opportunity to share with all of you, with my Sai family, if I may say, because this is my real family. This is a real family, all I have. I've realized that we all understand each other a lot more better, and we are more closer to though we may not even met, or we may not have experienced, but we can really connect to those days and those experiences. And then the beauty of from that day, as like a life changed totally. It kind of changed 360 degrees. The whole life changed, and the only thing I wanted to do was be Swami. That was the only thing. I realized that Brindavan was about, yes, it was about my friends whom I acquired from the place, my teachers whom I dearly loved, the and primarily Swami. So it was 94, 97 was a phase when we had the Kulwant Hall was getting built here in Parthi. So Swami kind of was there out of 3 years. I think at least for 2 years, Swami spent quite a lot of time in Trai. So much so that I still remember one day Swami saying, "You boys don't know the value of what you're getting. You come here like you brush your teeth." I still remember he's saying. Where Swami, though he was so free with his love and affection, he was quite unrestricted the way he can scold you as well. So he was as strict as a father. And some people who were the tougher ones of the Lord, they got a higher degree of medicine than the softer ones were like me. I still remember sitting at his feet, and Swami yelling at the other brothers of mine and giving me loving glances in between. And I could sense how quickly Swami changes from the connection we all have with him, each of us having our own unique connection with him, and Swami mirroring the connection back in that 1 second. The glance comes, and we think he's angry. He's not angry, he's just pure love. So so then I think my days in Brindavan totally went into bliss of all states. Swami kind of completely took over. Like how probably brothers you just discussed, we never really got a time to share the intimate details of the experiences we had there, because we were so busy with each other, and having the fun and frolic, and when the bell rings, to run and keep our mat, to ensure that I'm praying that line goes first that day. And when the line actually goes first, we find that there is this one lucky guy, wherever he sits, that line goes first, so let me just follow him. So those kind of those kind of experiences. And Narasimurthy was a warden those days, and as a warden, he used to really walk the floor. When he walks, he had the presence actually in the whole place, and boys literally had that fear about the warden. So some of the experiences which I had, very very humorous actually, because I think I got into a phase of being a spoiled child, or whatever you might say. For example, some of the experiences. One night I still remember, I used to be very lean, so they used to call me 2.5D, 2.5D, or a fruit, and these were the kind of names you get for people. A spiritual person is called a spiru, and a very innocent guy is called a fruit. So when you have a combination of being spiritual and being a fruit, I don't know what you call it. So that was me in those days. And there is this category of the students who were kind of really there from the first standard. They've seen the entire the new boys coming up, saw me talking to them, and they were giving me very knowing looks actually, be it a few of our brothers actually giving us and a lot of people actually gave some valuable advice as well, as to how to kind of behave. But what Swami really wanted was you to be yourself, and just follow his command explicitly. Swami used to kind of be a loving mother. He used to kind of watch what was the GPA, for example, which subject did you get, what marks, so these were questions I always detested, very very vehemently, because that was not my strong point anyways. I never understood when Ruchir sir taught taxation, or where Sani sir went too deep into company law, Tukaram sir went into our costing. These are not things which I only understood matters of the heart. The matters of the heart was the relationship you had with Swami, and I think what I think that's what keeps us going even till date, right? Absolutely, we are all bonded together just because of that one thing, the matter of the heart, with Swami. So. I think a few endearing experiences in those days. I used to love chapatis a lot, and in the night, especially in the hostel, we used to when they used to serve rice, I never used to like rice. So if they gave me more chapatis, I'll have more chapatis. If they give me less chapatis, I'll still never have rice. I'll just have whatever curry. And we as hostel children, we always had our preferences of what some kind of curries. We never really enjoyed the brinjal curry. We always look for some soya nuggets or some paneer curry, means we are really done. So food was really a very key part of what we were, so some of the brothers will kind of say, and I don't like this, and we kind of take his share also. We kind of team up with him so that his share also comes to us. And so see, when I'm just kind of going back to that 17-year-olds, the mindset of 17. I think now we all have that. Actually, some of the alumni who's here, they still have it across the age spectrum. I find 60-year-old also alumni also behaving exactly the same way when we go out for a seva activity or something, when we all get together. So come here. So one Darshan Swami just called and said, you know you're not eating your food. I know that you are actually having exactly the number of chapatis you get served in the night. Now this is omnipresence, this is omnipotence. Exactly, he can kind of, Swami used to kind of say the last 3 days how many chapatis exactly he had in the night. And this was while managing a water project of 1400 crores, giving water to 1000 villages around. And I never realized that Swami had these kind of activities as well for me, and for all of us who are children or his children. He meant the world to us, and we meant the world to him. And I sincerely thought that that was the only thing he had to do. Being in an avataric mission was to just take care and understand whether Rakesh Menon had his chapatis in the night. And if that something question was never asked, it came to a point where I used to feel bad that Swami didn't ask what I ate or what I didn't eat. So it was a very, very interesting childlike face, and I try to maintain that even till date in the relationship we share with Swami. Given that he is still around us in the satsang while we talk, the energy which we feel right now is his presence, which is there, which is clearly an evidence of the fact that Swami, the form or no form, Swami continues to be much above the form. The first thing which Swami told in these experiences was that he was not the form. This was the first lesson I learned, the first lesson as a student which I learned, and in the most innocent way was to impress upon ourselves that Swami was never the form, and not to limit him to the form. So wherever we try to limit him to the form, we miserably failed, because Swami used to come up and give one counter on that, which will just keep our mouth shut. So I still remember one experience I had with a brother who came home yesterday as well at home. He's a junior. His name is Srikanth, actually, and he's doing a lot of seva in terms of telemedicine, and also helping rural farmers, kind of get better livelihoods. So way back in in '94, one of the holiday times, I think we were sitting at night together, and this brother used to do a lot of meditation, actually. And I never was exposed to anything called meditation in the first place. Whatever I knew was from Swami directly, and Swami also had to teach, how to behave with him in the first place, because I had absolutely no clue how to kind of go ahead, kind of even having a discussion with Swami, because the concept of a padamaskar was very alien to me. I never even touched my father's feet. Here but and Swami taught me to kind of bow my head down and do a sashtanga and touch his feet, and surrender to him. And that's something which I probably took it to heart as well. So when this brother and me, we were having this discussion in the night, I think he was of the opinion that though Swami was an avatar, though Swami was God himself, we still need to do our bit. And my kind of discussion, if you refer back to Sai Sachirda, some of those great devotees used to have those kind of discussions, and Baba used to kind of intercede, if you read some of the chapters in Sai Sachirda. So this was a similar experience. So and then my experience was that, I was just saying the love of Swami is just enough, and just stay in the bliss and just keep moving on. Why do you want to break your head so much? The food in the hostel is great. The pongal and puri combination is the best. that's like near nirvana yourself, right? So this brother was saying that's no, you need to go about all that. So the discussion didn't kind of come to a conclusion because in those days, uh, I could, Swami gave that liberty to go and ask questions to Swami, So when I had a doubt, I used to just write a small slip and pass it, and Swami used to give an answer. And this used to happen when people were all around you and they never knew what was kind of, what was a question in the first place. So the next day, what happens is, tri session happens. That's like the mood court, right? That's where matters get resolved, right? That's the celestial darbar where all these matters are put to rest. And Swami in his beautiful form, sitting on the jula and kind of looking up, kind of making those beautiful gestures, and total silence, just looks down and says, "You need to meditate." And that was that was, and we both were sitting next to each other, and the matter was just put to rest. And then this brother is kind of showing, "I told you, man, I told you." Swami told, even if I am there, you need to put in your effort. You need to make the effort to go beyond, and you need to do the. And then there was this discourse which he gave on the need for meditation. So I still remember, and whenever I meet him, we just reconnect back on this one note and say that, this is was something which you remember, brother, we had this kind of conversation. So this was some of the, but I then, everybody is at a different level, right, brother, when you're with Swami. So whenever I had some queries in those times, I used to write a small chit. So once, when Swami says mind is like a mad monkey, and not to kind of think of something, the first thing the mind will actually think of is that object, right? So when we come from an external environment into Swami's you know I would say this particular divine garage where you're going to get fixed, and everything about you is going to thrown out, and new parts are going to be kind of, you kind of go through a complete overhaul in your system, mind, body, and spirit. That's what Brindavan was actually. And I wrote a chit, and in that chit I just wrote, Swami, how do you kind of control your mind? How do you control when you have the not so good thoughts coming to you, and that's when you are actively trying to kind of only keep the bad thoughts away, and only think good and positive. And Swami just looked at it, and he just looked at me and told, just think about me. When you get to that point when thought starts really disturbing you, just think about me. And that has actually worked for me beautifully from then till now. As just thinking about him, I think that itself, the form itself. And when somebody, I think I was speaking to a group of I think the youth group in Auckland a few weeks back. They were asking, like, the difference between the form and the formless. And then definitely, I think we come from a culture of Advaita, and we come from the formless culture, the Hindu culture. And we concluded in that discussion that, it was like two sides of a coin, the form and the formless. So whatever works for you, you should choose that path, and I think when you think about Swami and his form, your thoughts are actually put to rest, in my, at least for me personally. And there's so much of love comes back, and so much of those memories. And Swami used to say, treasure those memories, treasure those moments, relive those days. And then that is what will keep you connected. And today, I'm in this beautiful evening in Puttaparthi at 5:45. I still have to pinch myself and think I'm in Parthi. The mandir is actually a 10-minute, just 10 minutes away from my home. And when I step in, there's the same vibrations are there even today. Swami still transforms in the mandir. If you are present every single day there is no way you can escape transformation, personal transformation. For somebody like me personally who needed that extra amount, that's why probably I'm back at base. I'm back at base, so that I don't do any much more mischief outside. So maybe Swami thought, I'll put him here, let his kids, so even the children are with him. I moved on and married somebody who was very devoted to Swami. So my wife also is in the mandir. She's she takes care of the security. So as a family, we found ourselves traveling all over the world. Worked in London for 5 years, in the Middle East for around 5-6 years. Traveled all across Asia. Worked in Singapore also. Was very fortunate to speak in Moldmean Center, and take part in a lot of seva activities on the weekends. Every Saturday and Sunday I spent in Singapore was during the week. I would probably meet with like Vivek, or most of my classmates who are there. When the classmates get together, itself it's a satsang, right? Because when you get together, you automatically go back to those days, and then you relive your moments with Swami. So I think the trick is actually to kind of keep reliving those moments and those days as many times as you can, with a set of people whom you love most, and I think you stay in that zone. And then when you're in that zone, you just flow, and then that's exactly what happened. And in 90s, Swami never used to allow me actually to kind of go and go home for holidays, because he said I had really bad friends out there, and they're much more mischievous boys, you know and I'm trying very hard, to kind of grow you into a small sapling. And Swami used to say that when the sapling is small, plant sticks around it and tie a fence so that the goat or something doesn't eat it, right? So I think that was a care Swami kind of, because Swami had invested himself, I would say, into all of us, because not just me. It was all the batch of 94, 97 specifically, I think, was a very spoiled batch, because they got so much of love and affection at Swami's feet. We used to we used to come outside Thrive Brindavan, and we used to grumble about the fact that the sweet which we got yesterday was the same today, and we wanted a better sweet. Those kind of, very very innocent kind of thing. But when you look back after 26 years, I think we are all being prepared, and so much was given so that we can actually give back. Because I think this is the brothers of 70s, 80s, and 90s specifically had so much of beautiful experiences with Swami, that I think we are the bridge between the current generation of alumni who are passing out without that kind of an experience. So unless we have that kind of a connect with the current generation, of devotees as well as students, whoever who has not experienced Swami, I think that is a huge responsibility which I feel which is there on us to kind of share these kathas. This is like nothing less than a katha session, right? Chinna katha, like Swami says, share these beautiful moments with our juniors, let them feel. And this is something which happens at an individual level, I think. When you connect with somebody, and then especially being in Parthi, what happens is you get to kind of interact with the current alumni as part of Catalyst, helping them get a job. You coach them, the MBA boys, you help them with the projects which you offer yourself wherever you can. And then be it cleaning a bathroom in the mandir, to being a guide in for one of the MBAs, or talking here, or somebody calls for some seva, just be available to him. And then that is, I think, I think that is the only function which we all have. I don't really know whether we have anything left. I think we are all having time, and that time has to be given to him, because he has already assured us not to worry about something as like a livelihood. And we have all experienced his grace so much, that 100%, the worry element should not be there. So some of the younger generation, I kind of tell them not to worry, because outsource your worry to Swami as much as possible. Outsource and just experience his love. Just relive those moments, relive those things. Swami is an avatar. Swami is avatar, and I think after Lord Krishna, maybe 5,000 years back. Correct me. My understanding about Mahabharata and Ramayana is very very limited. I have seen only one avatar in my life. That one avatar itself has been so resplendent, and then we are still in awe of our avatar, so much in love with our Swami, that there is no space for anybody else, and then that is the only space which we know. So what I understood was, here was a window into the formless. Swami's form was a window into the formless, and some of the experiences used to literally scare you, thinking that this a Swami who was joking with you 2 minutes back, and in the next second the kind of revelation which comes from the divine Lord is kind of completely takes you to a different extent that you don't know what to do, because first of all, you have no mental privacy, no privacy, everything about you is completely known to him. So there is no so you actually are forced to watch your thoughts, because you know what, if you don't watch your thoughts, the next day Swami comes and says bad thought, or he comes and makes a comment where he literally kind of rips you apart completely to pieces. And the other thing about Swami is, when you do a good act, he actually I still remember there was this Dobi, we had two people, Vivek, if you remember the hostel. One was one a great barber who was always drunk. Right. And second was, we had a Dobi who used to love our clothes, so if we give 10 clothes, we used to get 9 back.
Nine.
And then it was our entire strategizing was to ensure how to ensure that our marking is correct. And sometimes we find the Dobi wearing our clothes and walking somewhere away, so these kind of experiences are quite common. And some of the more affluent brothers used to tip the Dobi, and they had much better, wider clothes. As somebody who was a student in those days, I thought this was not really correct. And so I had like a kind of very diffident view, or I know, as they were like my kind of my enemies. The barber was drunk and who can kill you with his knife, and then the Dobi who's to take your clothes. So one day what happened, while coming, I think, from the college, as usual, we are running to come to the because Swami is we need to put our mats, and we need to kind of, we were all running from last class. I found this Dobi, he had a huge amount of clothes on his back, and then he just couldn't balance it, and the whole thing fell down. And for a second I stopped, and I kept my anger away, and I helped him load up all the clothes back onto cycle him, and I set him back on his way. And then I still remember going straight away, Swami coming to me and just appreciating a good gesture. And then that was when you really realize that you cannot be judgmental towards even the smallest person there. Because be it our Chalam sir, or be it our Nair, who was cook in the hostel, Swami had the equal respects for all of them. So they used to get special darshan. They used to be treated very well. I used to see Nair taking a lot of curry out of the college and going out, taking it to his home. But at the same time, that it was an eye opener, because then I realized that if you help, and if you are kind, and if you actually practice those values and just talk those values, Swami used to give back 10 times more love and affection. He used to really, I have got a namaskar because of something like this. I got a pada namaskar, and I got a pat on the cheek and an appreciation, I think, which continues to be my driving force till today. Because it's something, unfortunately, I don't want, we do see that, getting caught up in wearing white and white. I think it's more important to ensure that we also clean our souls, we also clean our inner selves, and we stay white and pristine inside as well, right, brother? So this is something which I think Swami, in very simple words, used to do. One experience which happened in Parthi was, and these are all humorous experiences. I don't want to kind of am I running short of time, brothers? Just let me know, if it's
We're going absolutely fine. You can pace.
fine. Okay. And none of these were prepared, brothers. It's just coming in a flow. So I just want to share all those kind
All
of,
for a reason. All for a reason. Go ahead. The flow.
right. So yeah, so in Parthi, so there was this darshan actually. We all had to. We have, this is like a classic old hostel case. Actually, the old hostel is like three long rooms where entire Brindavan was crunched into. I can kind of in those days, kind of relate those rooms to some Port Blair in Andaman's pre-independence era where Indians were kept prisoners or something, because we had two bathrooms and we had like 120 guys in one room. So technically, you're like one guy is sleeping. If you want to turn, the other guy has to turn. So it was like that.
So
So
adding to what he is saying is when we go from Brindavan to Puttaparthi, if you are in the first year, you get the room which has the least number of bathrooms. So it's your job to accommodate and adjust. Well, the seniors will get a slightly bigger room with a few more bathrooms. So carry on.
So this was a huge challenge because what I remember, Vivek, we had to get up at 3 in the morning. We had one smart guy called Prashant, again the smoker turned non-smoker, turned devotee. So but he still has not got his entire attitude wiped off. So he'll book the book. He'll be controlling the bathrooms in the ground floor, and he'll be getting the next guy in, the next guy in, the next guy until whenever he wakes up 6 o'clock, he'll be just, whenever he feels like, he'll just get up and go have his bath. But he's a smart guy who wake up at 3 in the morning and book the bathroom first, and he used to keep sending guys in and in. So we used to always have these small fights on bathrooms. I found a very easy way out. Actually, I thought, why go in for conflict? Conflict is not going to lead to any resolution. Let's just not have a bath. If we don't have a bath, you know who has mandated that we need to have a bath for morning darshan in the first place? So once I think everybody had a bath and they left the place at 6:30, all seated. I used to calmly get up. I used to just go and then just wash my face, put some water in my hair, put the vibhuti, and then slowly make my walk, to the mandir. And you take your seat wherever you get your seat. And the first day, I think the insects were quite in the mandir were quite lenient with me. The second day, because the day went so fast after that you didn't really get a time to have a bath, because then you need to run to college, or you got your sports meet practice, and then the day just flies, and then you realize it's night and you're tired and you're slept, and then you're doing the same thing the day two. The day two, the flies around your head remind you that you're not really had a bath, because you're continued with day two. So then the day three comes. Okay, day three is like how far I can stretch things, because the third day I've not had a bath, and I'm just sitting there with the most most freshest face you can find, because I had the best sleep in the world, right? So I had vibhuti on my forehead thing, and then but rest of the flies around my head were kind of telling a different story altogether. So then Swami walks by, and he just comes back and says, ఏంట్రా ఫ్రెంచ్ బాత? He's asking you, I had a French bath. So this is a level of this is a level of detail Swami goes to when he takes on the responsibility of a mother, or when he actually takes on the mantle of transforming a person, right? And immediately, because by now I'm so used to this, kind of, I knew that I don't know where the googly is going to come from next, right? You don't know. So you got to be, so you start noticing your own life. You start noticing the way you are, the way you behave, the way you take care, the discipline, the smaller elements, and then slowly that's where the kind of change kind of starts to happen. So then the next day sees me as 1.1 in the bathroom at 3 in the morning. My bath is over. I had a proper bath. I'm a good boy. And at 6 o'clock I'm dozing in darshan actually, because I'm not kind of used to this kind of things. But then the Lord comes and appreciates that. He comes and gives his love. Because, and to me, what really mattered was the kind of love which we experienced from Swami. I think that is unparalleled. I don't think anybody, your father, your mother, your wife, your children, they are all given to you by him. And that's something which I realize. I have a few questions here, and Dr. Anandji, first question you kind of asked, how did you convince your family to relocate to Parthi? I never had to convince anybody to do anything. It just happened. So that is the absolute truth. We were out on a banking journey. So I was in investment banking, and from being a medical representative, selling medicines, I found myself in banking to kind of quickly getting into senior roles, and I was trying to figure out, hold on, what's happening? I don't know what's happening, but the next role was better than the rest. But what I was trying to see was I got an opportunity to associate with most of the international Sai organizations in the country. So I worked very closely with the Dubai and Abu Dhabi Sai centers, got to do seva, in the labor camps in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. It was a very, very humbling experience personally, brothers, to go all around the world, to serve in the soup kitchens in London, to be part of the Middle East Sai organization, to be in Bahrain and kind of feel Swami's presence in Bahrain in 6 centers and meet some amazing, very, very ordinary, very devoted group of people. I always tell my wife and my children that, if you want to see Sathya Sai Baba devotees, you need to go to different people, need to go and meet people outside Puttaparthi. You need to go meet people outside, simple devotees in Sai centers, maybe far away from Parthi, and then or in overseas. You need to go and meet these people to really learn about what bhakti is, to really learn what about the spirit of seva is. And a lot of them, even in Singapore, hasn't probably never had the opportunity to even come and meet Swami once. But the kind of spirit they carry in them to serve Swami, it is tremendous. And this is what very, very humbling when we as people who have spent time at Swami's lotus feet, and when you meet these people who have given all of themselves to Swami. So that is where I think for me personally, there has been huge learning. And I have found a lot of these people even in Singapore as well, serving with them. In Singapore, I still remember, I think with Sister Usha, I'm not sure, we went and served in a mental, there was one center where there are a lot of mentally ill inmates, and I became a barber there in Singapore. And I had haircuts. I gave haircuts to around 40 to 50 people. So I can confidently tell you I acquired some great skills in being a hairstylist, trying out various styles on some of these inmates, in Singapore. And another did Narayana Seva in one of the labor camps in Singapore as well. So it's like Swami doesn't give you these experiences for a reason, right? There is something behind all this. Once on a business travel to Hong Kong, I still remember, it was pretty, I landed, it's very difficult to get some good vegetarian food in Hong Kong, unlike Singapore, where I can go to one of the dosa joints and, get myself a dosa idli. But in Singapore, where I was, it was a place where they had nothing. So I asked for a vegetarian noodle. There's something wrong with it. My stomach was very, very upset, and my wife was very worried the whole night. So had to kind of keep myself on the camera, just to keep awake, because I'd lost a lot of fluids. I kind of got really dehydrated. In the morning, I just was extremely weak, and I think I just wanted to search for some fruits to eat. And then was the hotel where I stayed, I just started walking around the hotel, heard there was a Marks and Spencer's M&S shop somewhere, which had some fruits actually. So I was kind of looking at, there's some of the 7-Eleven shops, and, I was not very happy, just keeping going. And when I turned the corner, I found one building there. And when I looked inside, I saw Swami's photo in the building. So I went to that, just randomly walking in Hong Kong, the streets of Hong Kong, finding Swami's photo, went over and asked somebody, where is Sat Sai Baba? They just told me the 10th floor. I took the lift to the 10th floor, and I walked into the Hong Kong Sai Center, and then they are actually, they're actually offering only fruits that day for Narayana Seva, and they're packing fruits actually in the center. And then I told them that I am actually in Parthi, and they made me offer this entire Narayana Seva, to kind of Swami, and then they ensured that I had my fill of fruits. And then also I also took back to my whole room at least like prasad, which was completely filled with fruits again. Now this is how Swami takes care, right? This is all happening. I'm saying, this is all post samadhi, and then Swami's care for you has not diminished at all. Swami is always really there. It's and and when people ask me that that was physical, but we have to kind of migrate and move on to the spiritual side, right? And that was the whole thing Swami taught from day one, that he was much is not limited to the form, and he was actually much beyond. So the love and care Swami really kind of gave in those days, it was really it's something which I can cry about, I can talk about. But one thing which I feel, and I what I would also like all of us to also feel, is that we are all extremely blessed people. I think we have been tremendously blessed with the grace of Swami and love of Swami. We probably have our trials and tribulations, but it's not really bad, because unlike a lot of normal people, we have his love and guidance and support, and we can actually outsource our worries to him, and go to sleep and wake up in the morning with a smile on your face, because somebody in your batch group have posted some comment, and somebody is pulling your leg still, and you still feel like you're part of the college again. So that's something which you don't really need to worry. So in terms of just going back to these questions, how did I convince my family? I just met the only person I met, and that too not really looking for any, when I was about to get married, was my wife. Is the first person I met, and happened to kind of not just be a devotee, happened to be one level above a devotee, I can kind of say, as a fanatic. Is nothing beyond Sathya Sai Baba, and if you talk anything other than Sathya Sai Baba, the sword is out. So in all in all, I can see a lot of smiles here. Has a lot of understanding smiles. So basically, brothers, I'm telling you. So it was actually the other way around. I think my better half, and my two children, they were very much, it came to a point where it was a no brainer that Parthi is where we need to be. So unlike a lot of people who think a lot, I never really thought, I never really planned. I have always gone with the flow, and have only trusted Swami. The space between your 2 years, that's something which you need to be careful about. Something called your mind, I think, just offer that to Swami. Please don't think, overthink, please don't overanalyze. Let things flow. We have always been with him. Just enjoy the smaller things. And there's another question which is, now that you're a Parthi, what is your vision for the next 3 years? I think from a vision perspective, I really don't know these big words anymore, but the intent, I think, is very 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 key. There are 2 3 villages with whom I've started getting attached to. I love children a lot, and I actually love the children who's actually in the villages. They're like very very innocent and very thing. There is a decline from a moral perspective. I think we need to spread Swami's name and message. I think people don't really lack food like in the 80s or 90s when we did Gram Seva, but there is a moral decline. There is a name, there's a need of, there's a complacence around why do we even need to do that. But and then it's very very important that we catch them young, and we train them, and we kind of ensure that there is this generation coming up who are, even if they're villages, they are aware about Swami. And I think that's one thing which I personally want to do in and around Puttaparthi. The love which Swami shared with these villages around, the 1,000 villages which got water here, all the benefits Swami used to give all these people around. I think it's very important to keep the love of Swami alive in the hearts of people. And that's something which requires, I think, all of us to get together and work without differences, keeping our differences aside, and with love of Swami in our hearts. So that's something which I would like to personally do. And I'm sure when one step is taken, Swami will also ensure that it organically, the effort grows. So that's something which I'd like to do. And I think Sister Usha has asked, how do you help current students to connect to Swami when they never seen him? I think Swami has only brought them here in the first place. It's not, they have kind of not just that, and we all kind of really understand that it's our destiny that we come to Puttaparthi. You can't come to Puttaparthi just like that. Puttaparthi is probably, it's like a Kailasa, or, it has that spiritual energy of Swami in this place. So if somebody has come here, is their karmic connection with Swami, that they are here in the first place. And but that doesn't mean we don't do. I think the way we try to do is we try to engage with them more and more, especially I think at a point where we connect with them, typically when they start looking out for a job, or when you go and talk to them. I can't What I try to do, at least 2 3 people I try to mentor, and I've been kind of working with our students since, like, I would say, the last 2 decades. I'm sure all of us have been connected with our alumni in some way or the other, so we are all connected. So within the limitations of our time availability and etc., I try to be available, because Swami has been always available to us. He's never put restrictions around being available. So I think some bit of being how Swami was, I think we need to also echo that out to the current students, because they don't get to kind of connect with Swami the way we got pampered. So we really got the love and affection. So it is our more duty to pass on that love. I'm not saying like give them big speeches and all, but just love them and just be available. And when they go through the challenges and in the career and the personal spaces, just be there for them, so that they know that Swami is actually there, and Swami is actually working through us till the end of the day. So broadly speaking, I think in the interest of time, I don't know, I never planned anything, Vivek. I told Vivek 5 minutes before the speech that I'm blank, so I have no idea. I hope I'm not really bored you, or told stuff which doesn't make sense. But all I have to say is that Swami for me personally is my mother. For me, this is my family, and and I literally mean it. Sai family is my family. Alumni is very very dear to me. The elders, the juniors, everybody, with all the differences, 5 fingers are different, but we are still one fist. So I think let's just carry on this journey. And I'm in Parthi, so anything I can do for anybody who's coming here, so feel free to reach out. Probably 20-30% of my time goes by in connecting with alumni only who are kinds of visit here. So the parting thing is, I always say that don't forget Puttaparthi. Please do come home to Puttaparthi. That's one thing which I would like to say. Please come home to Puttaparthi. Parthi is our home, and we need to keep coming. So this is what I would say. Thanks Vivek for the opportunity. I'll keep it open if anybody wants to ask any more questions, or otherwise, Jai Sai Ram.
I have a I have a question. My name is Malik. So I know you are by in the past you are a risk manager. Okay. So
Right.
did any time a risk mitigation measures creep in your mind when you go with the flow, like what you did now? Because it's always very difficult at same point of time. You do your duty, which is work is worship. God says, Swami says, and then you are with your client. You speak a lot about what risk management, mitigation measures, loss control, everything, and then the other side for your own thing, you go with your flow. Okay, it's all Swami's will, but how mind, you know, I'm probably much elder to you. I also want to do service, but somehow that going with the flow does not come to me. The words do come, but the feet doesn't move away. So one is how do you control between what you have learned and you have done? That is also Swami, because doing risk management to the industry is also something which Swami is like the students to see that the world recognizes such people. The other side is going with the flow. At any time, do you ever think about who we may say, but did any time did it really creep in? Or
Brother Malik, Sairam, and a beautiful question. If I tell you that I have not thought about it, then I'm not being honest. Every single second, all these thoughts creep into my mind. Every single day, I ask myself, you had a banking career, but this banking career was a desire which I had put forward to Swami in the first place. I was somebody who was a very average student in Brindavan in the first place. I don't claim myself to have the highest GPAs, but somebody was deeply in love with Swami from the day when I met him. So that continues on till today. the faith I have, which probably acquired because of the assurance which Swami gave, I probably am one risk manager who would have tested it to the limits to see how to kind of make a business case of where can grace take you in life. And I banked on Swami completely. And then the job itself, to be frank, was a journey, so it was something I thoroughly enjoyed. Who wouldn't enjoy being in London when you're in your 20s and you're in a good position, and everything is a dream around you. Things are going fine, and then you realize that Swami gave you the situation in the first place to understand whether, is that what you want in life or you want me. That was a whole question. And who would give away your mother for a job, for a trinket? So that is the way it was. And Swami has, from the day I met Swami till today, there has been no dearth of food, clothing, and shelter. I would say these three things, right? And the rest is to the world. What you want to kind of what you want to portray. There's nothing to portray. And Vivek knows me very well. I'm probably the most transparent guy around. They know every day what happens in my life, because it's something which is from a risk management perspective. I was an operational risk framework expert, or SME, or something, with 10 years of experience. As long as I enjoyed it, I did it. But then the second I came back to India, I wanted to do something which was much more entrepreneurial and much more serving the society at a large. So I picked up a concept of agriculture, because that was nature, and agri was always very close to me. I made an effort to kind of learn a lot about what were the problems and challenges Indian farmers faced. So this is after London. I found myself in the fields in Maharashtra. I found myself in the fields in talking to farmers and spending a few years actually understanding the whole, and then using your corporate networks to kind of leverage and kind of work out some solutions. So today I double hat. I still do some bit of consulting. I still am part of risk and transformation projects for HSBC. That's very interesting, because pre-COVID, I think Swami probably realized that I needed a job. So I was in an entrepreneurial board. Suddenly I found myself having being employed, and I'm the only soul who's working out of Puttaparthi for HSBC. So now nobody else works out of Parthi for HSBC. So it's very interesting. So what I probably do naturally is I relate everything back to Swami. I don't really relate. And when that when I the cushy life overseas, and that actually went. It was not easy to get into Parthi and do something. But I think we will all have to follow a higher purpose at some point, right? Either some people they are unable to kind of do it, but then they support from where they are. That's what I've seen, right? Some people take that step and take that leap, but then the rest of the people are it's always a team effort. It's never one person kind of, it's always been a team effort where you also get that. So if you feel like you want to do that kind of thing, please continue with the job. Swami never ever told to kick your job and stay idle and have get into it. But I have gone through those phases in life of major upheavals, if I can take the word which Vivek used in the last satsang. And it was, for me, it was very adventurous to say. And but what I really found was that Swami always held the hand. Swami always took charge of the family as well. My function was to wake up in the morning and work hard. I have to work, right? Whether I'm working for the farmers or working for the bank, I need to work hard. So that is something I think we are all in Singapore, especially the long working hours. I worked with Credit Suisse as well in Singapore, so I clearly know how working for an investment bank is in most of these places. So and that too is something which is Swami's grace. So the experiences he gave, I'm very thankful to him, because that has helped build up a profile or a resume or something. But I think when we are all as a family getting together, I don't think really matters at this stage and age. I think it's just beautiful that we are all Sai family. So absolutely, that is what I have to summarize. I don't I don't think too much. I just act and I just keep moving ahead. So, but nowadays I slow down a bit because I don't want too many changes anymore. I think the age is also catching up. So I've had enough of the world. I'm
No,
trying to get.
it was, brother, it was destined to happen that way.
Yeah,
Swami wanted it to happen that way.
The
absolutely, brother. I totally agree with you.
the last question is how you continue to enhance the risk. Uh, I mean, function as in your attribute to the organization of Sathya Sai, like whether you do a seva or whether you are part of now COVID time. So those are also real seva. You as an expert trying to be part, creating not manuals and things like that, but at least giving your expertise to the Sathya Sai organization in
So,
respect of.
so I can the COVID seva. To be honest, really. Give me 1 second if you don't mind. I'll just, I kept on talking. I just need to kind of switch on the light. Just give me
On the
1 second.
line.
Just everyone, letting you know, we still have 10 minutes. So if you have more questions, keep it going. Getting interesting answers. I think the Rakesh, either you're a brand ambassador for Nike, just do it.
So, bro, I'm sorry, brother. So the thing is, I can relate to the Seva side actually. In the Seva side, I was very fortunate to be part of the Kerala floods. If you remember, we had a huge amount of floods, and I think we were thinking as to what needs to be done. And myself, Venkat Desik, and one of our alumni, a few others, Shivram from my batch, we loaded one vehicle with a lot of food stuff and water, thinking that Kerala is completely drowned and we might not even get water to drink. And we drove down. And what happened was very life changing, actually. And we actually saw Swami's hand at play. We got into the food distribution supply chain side for the whole state, because as unfortunately there is an income divide. You find that people who are economically well off are always they are provided for, so it doesn't really impact them that much as the poor people who stay close to some of the low lying areas. They've got flooded, and that's where I think Swami wanted his love to reach. So there. Well, it was totally in chaos. So we took over the complete command and control from an alumni perspective. When I say command and control, it meant that we had to physically unload, 10-ton trucks actually, where, we were actually physically unloading like 100 kg bags of rice, and this is, I'm saying, when you're in your 40s, that's not the best thing for your back and your heart or whatever, whatever it is. But the energy which Swami gives you is amazing, because there is no dearth of energy. There is, you don't get tired, because you are like in a blissful state, to be frank, with your alumni highly charged around you, and you're mingling with the best model, the organization, the alumni, the normal people. You're kind of the institution, our institute, all coming together without any differences and divide and working for a cause. I think that was very beautiful. And then some of those nights, once you go get to sleep, I have experienced these waves of bliss. I've actually just we just sat around, and we were like a laughing club for just laughing and laughing, not knowing what is causing this happiness inside you. But that feeling was such an amazing feeling, brothers, that I cannot say. No amount of money in the bank can kind of buy that kind of a feeling which you get with Swami. So that's something which I'll never trade off, and that remains as top priority. So as a risk manager, I think what happened, one experience is that we went to a place which is close to Cochin, and which was a low-lying area. I happened to meet, I saw a shack actually, which is completely got washed away. And I was trying to find out who was actually living in that kind of a shack, because it's a makeshift kind of a house with coconut palm leaves, and that's gone. Only the frame remains, and on that frame is Swami's photo. So that. And then I expected to see somebody who will come to me and start crying and saying that son, I lost everything, brother, I lost everything. And I saw this old lady who's just smiling ear to ear and saying, I told you, you lost everything, everything is gone, the shack, nothing is remaining, you don't have anything, why are you smiling so much? She told that, Swami, will take care, I know. So then, if I could have 1/millionth of the devotion and the faith that lady has on Swami, then, all those experiences with Swami and all those pampering of Swami and all those hand holding. So this was Swami, giving you an eye opener as to what devotees across, what kind of faith they have. And these people don't have anything, technically they live on a daily wages, or they live day to day. So that's a kind of feeling. So I came back and I just told one thing to that lady. If something took over me, I told that, I don't know what, but if Swami is God, you better get a house for yourself. That's something which I want to work with you with. And I look back, I'm seeing the state president, Professor Mukundan sir, I'm seeing the district presidents, they are all standing behind, and they have this kind of a question: is this guy mad? Is this guy actually mad? He's gone ahead and made a commitment on behalf of the trust and the organization that we will give you a house. And where do I have the resources to even give a house to her? And then here we are trying to giving grandiose plans of a house, and I did not have any clue of how to do it. So when I came back, I realized that there was a friend who works in Tata Trust in the first place, an alumni. His name is Monil. So Monil was junior, and we used to be quite close friends. So I called up Monil and told Monil, this is the thing. What do you say? So Monil told, why don't you do one thing? I will, Venkat, who was a senior, who was the CEO of Tata Trust at that point in time, and the right hand man of Ratan Tata. I told, see, these words and big jargon words for me. I'm at a different ground level here, and you are talking about Ratan Tata and the CEO of Tata Trust. Here I have the state president behind my back now. What are you going to do? They're all kind of, even right up to the All India President Nimesh is also asking what is Rakesh up to? No idea. So I opened my laptop. I got a proposal format, punched in a kind of a proposal for 100 plus houses actually for Kerala, and fired that away. And you won't believe it, I got a call from the CEO of Tata Trust. Okay. And I got an appointment in Mumbai. And this was an appointment off the records. I know I'm here, but I can still say that, the All India president couldn't get that kind of a time and date with him. So then I knew that I can see the pattern emerging. I can see the hand working. I told, okay, Swami is up to his plans. Now just kind of sail along. Now it's going to be fun. So, so
he
I
took
caught.
care of the mitigation measures. He took care
Yes,
of,
brothers. This is a mitigation. Who are we to plan the risk and the mitigate? We are the risk creators. Actually, he does the mitigation.
very good, very good. But I think
So when,
it's a fantastic with corporate social responsibility at the helm in India. It is such things are the one which is required. Many companies have segregated the money but unable to spend on it.
yes, yes. So to just complete this thing, since you reminded me of this incident, so I found myself sitting in Ratan Tata's office. In a nutshell, the man is not there. Otherwise, I would have met the man himself also. So then
You have met the Asli man. You have met the Asli man. You have met
yes,
God.
yes, yes. And then Venkat, was the CEO, strolls in and asks, so what do you want? So I get 45 minutes of his time, and he approves 2.99 crores straight and 108 houses. I got out and I call the state president and I tell him, sir, we got approval. He tell, no, don't joke around. You are just simply, see, they're not believing. Then I told AIP, I told Nimeshji, I'm out of his office, and they have approved it. Tata Trust has approved. No, but I couldn't get an appointment with him. How did you manage to get his time? He's a busy man. He's traveling all the time. And then you won't believe it, in a month's time, they got a check. They actually got a check for 2.99 lakhs and 108, 2.99 crores. And then, then Swami takes you to the background. Then the work is happening. You're out of the loop. you're on to the next finder mission, or he's put you on to the next thing, so this is a journey. It's been very interesting, to be honest. I'm very, very grateful to Swami. Sometimes you feel you're kind of when the age starts catching up and you don't want to be I probably would have been the most riskiest risk manager, sir, brother, in entire all of banking, but I took a risk on Swami's name, and for the right activities, which I'm ready to do even today. If all of us come together, I don't think we should allow lot of intelligence to act here. I think we should allow a lot more faith to especially when it comes to livelihoods of the bottom of the pyramid. And I don't see an economic dearth now. It's more a moral dearth. It's more a dearth of Swami's name. That's where is the real work which needs to be done, is what I feel in and around Puttaparthi.
Nishkama karma.
Oh.
Yes, we are all taken care. We have got surplus time, brother. So we got to apply it and make the day worth it. So I don't really think too much. I'm extremely grateful to Swami for this opportunity because it's a reliving experience for me also personally. This is the way I have to clean myself by talking to you, all of you. Right.
Thank you. Like you
Ram, brother.
say, you saw Baba has given you the courage of going with the flow. He has also given you the great trait of a flow of communication. Amazing. Very simple, continuous flow. No pause. Excellent. God bless you. Huh?
The Sairam. That was him only. That was not me.
Yeah.
Indeed. Absolutely. Any other questions? We can probably take one last question, because I'm getting interesting answers. So if anybody has a question, everybody is having a common answer coming. Any last questions? All I can say is, brother, I think you need to inspire a lot of, I think you have a wonderful point that you mentioned about sharing that grace that came to you all. And I think students have that amazing power, simply for the fact that the grace that you received was not to be kept within, and it had to be shared. And it's not just shared by satsangs, but by action. And there's a lot of difference between having a satsang alone and just talking and reminiscing, then putting things into action. I think in the truest sense, being a risk manager, you have taken the risk without even realizing what the risk is, because in the first place, he had taken a risk on having you as a student in the first place, right? So if he's sure that he can get you on the path, then I'm sure he can get you onto the path.
Swami,
sorry, go ahead.
Swami selects and qualifies, right, brother? He never qualified and selected, right?
Exactly. So the qualification that comes by being with him is what that makes a person, and walking the talk is probably the best thing that most students are doing. Lot of people are not aware of how much the alumni do things at the back. I'm kind of privy at times to get snippets if my brother shares them with me. But the fact remains that there's a lot of work that the alumni do. There's so much to learn from them. And that is the reason why we have it every Sunday. There's a simple lesson. Mallikanna has got probably many of the answers that we discussed last night, right? So I'm sure your time of 1.5 hours just now gave you the answers to what exactly we discussed yesterday. And he knows.
Swami knows how to answer.
Swami sent Brother Rakesh to answer some of the questions. That is exactly.
No, I wouldn't put it. He brought a person in the same domain as you to talk the same lingo that will go into your head. Be convinced of it. I can still talk. Anybody can talk, but he gave it to you in the lingo that you will understand. So that's all I would say. The customized messages continue every Sunday. Brother Rakesh, hope to have you one day to inspire on the aspect of seva. And just going about doing it to the youngsters of Singapore. I'm just praying that it happens. And I think the more humorous it is to show those messages where we go, I think the connection is better, because the white and white is something that scares a lot of people.
That scares people, yes.
Yes, exactly. The white and white scares a lot of people. Although the people on the left on the 70s have had the wonderful opportunity of wearing jeans and color clothes and taking photographs.
Swami.
Yeah, exactly. And then it changed to the white and white mode. And
So, brother, the other thing I wanted to say is my apologies. You are all very learned. You've been with Swami for more than me. So, if I've told something which is not in sync, I always respect my seniors. So, when there's a saying in when the head is there, the tail shouldn't wag. So, always in a senior alumni framework, we always keep our elders, even if it's 1 year senior, also we do give that kind of a respect. So,
I have to tell you something, Rakesh, since the group of alumni who have spoken here, especially from the early Brindavan days, probably we are the only batch which has got the same Brindavan aspect being shown by Swami, in the 3 years of our stay there, thanks to the Kulwant Hall. So I always thank Kulwant Rai
eternally thankful.
We are eternally grateful to him for bringing Swami to his home, which is Brindavan. They had the Bangla house, Brother Jagdish and all had the experiences of the Bangla house. We had the true experience of Trai,
Yes.
our Trai. One thing that I would like to say is we have heard in many discourses of Swami saying, I give the love of 1,000 mothers. We have heard many seniors say about Swami gives the love of 1,000 mothers. I have had the fortune of him saying that I'll give you the love of 1,000 mothers to Rakesh at that very day when he had his eye-opener. So in that, I have also been blessed to be a part of his journey, seeing Swami actually say those words. Discourse is a different thing, but I have been privy to the experiences that Brother Rakesh has had. And that itself, in the passive sense, has given me an experience that will always keep us going, that he is there. He's right behind us. We have all heard the story of the footprints where we don't get to see some footprints. That is because he is carrying us. So whether it's the form or the formless, whatever it might be, those footprints that carry us are his. And all we have to do is just, give in our hand, and he takes you in the journey of life, wherever we are destined to go, in whatever stages of our experiences that we have had.
On the lighter side, lighter vein, Brother Rakesh, do you still have your head bath? So what you said in your experience for 3 days you didn't take bath. So we used to term that as head bath. That is only will take bath.
So brother, it's by default that if I come and sit here, I have to have a bath and come. It's in the genes now. I wouldn't say that a lot of those habits are gone. It's still there. It's still there. But I've got 2 children who are kind of ears and eyes for what all I do. But it's interesting that they are school kids, right? So you tend to learn from them. So we are like a bunch of Swami's children in the house, so if something is there which I can't manage, I'll tell them, I'll go to Muni auntie and I'll talk to her if the buck stops there. So
Muni auntie to the rescue.
Muni auntie to my rescue always. So she's kind of the head of the house in some ways or other, because we all live in that space where I think we are still the boys of 90s or 80s still, sometimes today's
the eternal 17-year-olds, whether
yes.
Brother Jagdish, whatever it is, I think he'll be 17 when he speaks to his alumni group.
There's a bigger 17-year-old listening on.
No, actually, I'm 1 year younger, 16. I am.
No, that's right. Because Brother Ravi Shankar is in the Satsangh, he is 17. Okay, he's 17.
No.
Brother Ravi Shankar.
Rakesh bhai, I'm 70 years old now.
But he's
when you are
70 years young.
70 years young.
And when you are describing Brindavan as a garage, I remembered, and we were living literally on top of a garage.
On the verge of the
in 1970. Exactly.
This is the same Ravi Shankar brother we are talking about, who is who is the Pandit who is being referred to in terms of all our teachers.
Sai Ram.
You're the teacher of teachers.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Ruchir Desai's teacher.
No.
So you are the only person who can catch Ruchi sir's ear.
Yeah, one time. No.
Brother Ravi Shankar and Tukaram sir, they were
Yeah, we were classmates.
classmates.
Jai Sai Ram. I
Sai
was
Ram.
so happy to see you, sir.
And yeah, one more thing, Rakesh bhai, one more thing I want to share with you. A couple of days back, I was having a disturbed kind of mind, As we get older, we always tend to think of negative things only. Something which should not happen, may happen, that kind of a thought comes into you, So I was thinking how to get over such thoughts, a couple of days back. And today I tuned in a bit late, and exactly when I tuned in, Swami was answering through you. And you said, when you get negative thoughts, remember his form. And remember the best moments that you spent with him. So that has given me the answer. Swami has given me the answer through you. So nice.
And sir, to be honest, it's a great privilege to kind of talk to you here because Tukaram sir and all the teachers, we have huge respects in our life, especially Tukaram sir has only given us joy, in the classes, never classes. It was like, a bonding session with Tukaram sir, right? It is, and to know that you are Tukaram sir's, counterpart and that you have been Ruchister's things. So next time I'm going to meet Ruchi sir, I'm going to tell him something is there. I'll tell Ravi Shankar sir.
Yeah. We were classmates and we were colleagues for 10 years there. And then
Sai Ram sir.
Sai Ram. So nice. Excellent.
I also have to share one sad news with all of you. One of our professors of Brindavan, Dr. R.V. Prabhakar, today reached Swami's lotus feet this morning.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. So,
Sai Ram.
Thank you all thank you, Brother Rakesh. It was absolutely blissful, inspirational. I wouldn't say blissful. It was inspirational because bliss comes automatically listening to anything that Swami does, right? Inspirational is what you derive out of the bliss. And like that, moments of happiness where you laughed without a reason is what we feel listening to all to this, and try and do that little bit thing that we could without having to really process it. And that is what is the biggest takeaway from today. Just do it, and he knows he shall take care. And you're not the risk manager. You're not You're not the risk mitigator either. So with that, all I can say is next week Satsang is also going to be interesting. So I'm getting my brother to do the organizing part of getting a few more of his year mates and people whom he knows over the next few weeks. So the satsangs will continue every Sunday, and I shall update you of the speaker's details in the course of the week. So it's interesting to have a situation where we know who the speaker is. And Brother Rakesh, thank you so very much for taking it up on the last minute. I have to tell you, it was a very last minute effort. And I was just telling Swami, is it going to be the first week we're going to cancel the talk? When I just pinged him and he came back and said there's a speaker, and I didn't ask more. And it's his grace that you are here with us today. Thank you so very much. We'll finish off.
No problem. Sai Ram to all of you. Sai Ram.
Samast loka sukhino bhavantu. 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 Samast loka Sukhino bhavantu samastalokaah. 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 Sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba Ji ki.
Jai.
Sai Ram, have a blessed week ahead and good night. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.